Thank you, Chairman Latta. This markup today, in my opinion, is a missed opportunity by the Republican majority. While I'm happy to support a small handful of bipartisan bills that improve certain processes at federal agencies that deal with broadband permitting, I'm disappointed to say that the major permitting bill would run roughshod over critical environmental and cultural protections. It's a partisan bill that will ultimately do nothing to ensure that the historic broadband investments Democrats delivered as part of the bipartisan infrastructure law reach all communities that need it. As this subcommittee heard at the legislative hearing just a few weeks ago, the biggest obstacle to permitting is a lack of resources at permitting agencies at the federal, state, and local level, which are responsible for processing siting applications. The witness panel delivered that message loud and clear, even as the majority denied us a second Democratic witness and stacked the panel in a departure from committee precedent. Democrats addressed the resources issue for federal agencies last year with passage of the Inflation Reduction Act. That law, which was opposed by every Republican on this committee, appropriated money to the relevant agencies to speed up environmental reviews, and it's already proving to be effective in accelerating those processes for large environmental projects. Unfortunately, one bill that would address this issue for local governments, Representative Fletcher's Broadband Incentives for Communities Act, is not on this markup today because we were unable to reach agreement on a solution that provides the resources that local governments need and will continue to lack for this very purpose. Instead of solving that problem today, we will consider an AINS that throws together almost 24 partisan bills that have no chance of becoming law. Many of these bills would exempt communications infrastructure from environmental and historic preservation requirements, when in reality, most of those projects do not require those approvals. And whether or not these requirements exist, there will still be a bottleneck at permit offices if there's not enough qualified employees at the agencies to review and approve the applications. To make matters worse, another set of these partisan bills would severely weaken the authority of local governments to steer investment and deployments in their own communities. And this kind of deregulation and preemption of local authority is one reason the digital divide has grown to be as pervasive as it is today. We simply can't continue to make it easier for communications providers to cherry pick the areas they want to serve, and more importantly, to avoid investing in the areas they don't. These communities tend to be overwhelmingly low income, rural, and communities of color. When providers turn their backs on these communities, they are denying the people there the tremendous opportunities that modern communications infrastructure provides: educational opportunities, advanced medical services, job training, and much more. It's disappointing that my Republican colleagues have not learned these lessons and have instead chosen to forge a partisan path on legislation that would only exacerbate the problem. I would also point out that in their Default of America bill, the majority would make severe cuts to federal agency budgets, and they would also claw back the money that state and local governments received during COVID. So at the same time they are demanding more of these permitting agencies, they're cutting their resources, and it makes no sense. Whenever my Republican colleagues are ready to work in a productive way on targeted solution, Democratic members are ready and eager to have these discussions. Now, finally, I'd like to mention Chair Rogers' spectrum bill that we'll consider today. We must renew the Federal Communications Commission's auction authority for the long term. We must also restore the National Telecommunications and Information Administration's place as the clear manager of federal spectrum and ensure that the proceeds from future auctions be used to fund important projects that benefit the public. The bill before us today is a short-term bill, but Chair Rogers and I will continue to work on these issues together and with our Senate colleagues. I look forward to soon passing a comprehensive package. And with that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.